Hello, everyone. Welcome. I am so excited to be here today again. Today, we're going to talk about why behavior plans fail and what actually works. And I have Coach Kim with me here. Welcome, Coach Kim. Thank you for
Hi,
being
thank you. Thanks for
Yes.
having me.
So, before we talk about behavior, I want to ask something that might feel uncomfortable because we are talking a lot about behaviors these days, right? Everywhere we turn, there's just about everybody
Yeah,
saying some behavior or another behavior. But what if behavior you're trying to fix isn't the problem at all? We're always after the behavior, right? Maybe that's not the problem at all. What if it is actually a signal? Like, can we read it as a signal from this body, right? So we're going to go into it, but I just want to throw the question out. Instead of thinking it as I have to fix this behavior, what if what you see is a signal from that person that you're noticing the behavior from? Because sometimes we think, we see defiance, avoidance, shutdown, but it could be just the nervous system under stress and not ready, right?
yeah, and I have a story about that for sure.
Yes. So before we begin, we want to focus on that, why behavior plans fail, but we do have to bring ourselves here now. And I've been traveling all day, so I want to breathe as well. So have you been thinking about the past today,
I
Coach
have.
Kim?
I have a little bit. Yes.
And were you there a long time, or were you able to pull you back to the now and present?
Yeah, I was actually able to pull myself back. I was in a situation where I had no business thinking about my past because I was working. And so I needed to pull myself back into the present. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I was on a plane, so when you get on a plane, you start thinking about a lot of stuff, and a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
stuff is mostly about the past. I don't know what's up with high in the sky, and you just go into your past, and I just kind of went back all around everywhere. Was kind of coming flashing into
Right.
different things, right? But again, I had to bring myself here and now because I was also writing things on the plane. So another place that we actually tend to go past, of course, and then those past things usually are things that maybe we had a bad experience or that hurt us or made us feel bad, right? Those are the things we go visit. I have to say I visited a lot of it today. So only thing I can do about that is just take the lessons and let it go, right? Because there's no point in just dwelling
Yeah.
on all of
You
that.
can't go back and fix anything. So take the lesson
Nothing.
and move on.
Yes. So I brought myself here, but what about the future though? Have you been thinking about the future?
Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit nervous even for this live, right? And so earlier I was like, oh, like I hope I'm prepared. And so, but I can't do anything about that either. Like I
No.
can't control the future. I can only control the now. So
Yeah.
yes, I went to the future, but reminded myself that that's not going to help, and all it's going to do is kind of trigger some anxiety um, that there's no need for.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, future thinking projected with the past, of course, and we try to create the future instead of let it happening to us. A lot of the time that just produces a lot of anxiety and stress. So yeah, again, future is available to all of us. Only thing we need to do is really bless it and release it so that we can bring ourselves here and now. And in this moment is the only moment I can talk to Coach Kim. I can talk to you, all of you. I can actually do anything about it. Other places I don't have any control over. I'm just kind of wasting. So that's why learning happens here, living happens here, and leading yourself and leading others in your life also happens here. Now, is there anything else we can do to bring ourselves here? Do you do anything else to like ground the state? This
Yeah, I sure do. I breathe.
could you have an exercise we can go through?
Yeah, I'll just do the box breathing. It's very popular. You're basically going to breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, and hold for 4 at the bottom. And then just do that a few times.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
do that 3 times, okay?
All right. So we're going to breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, hold for 4. And in again.
One more time. Some that was perfect. Needed it. So much needed. Yes, I hope you all let go everything that you've been carrying, maybe stress, fear, anxiety, whatever you've got, let it go with that breath out, right? So, Coach Kim, when families come to you focused on behavior, what are they usually not seeing yet?
Yeah, so generally speaking, many families that I've worked with and parents are like, they're choosing this behavior or they know better and they're just doing it. It's deliberate. It's to get under my skin. It's,
Mm,
and I think that what parents are in general are missing is that when kids can do well, they like to do well. And so if they're not doing well, it's entirely possible that they're not in the right state to do well or that they're lacking a skill that they need. So really what parents miss is pausing and getting curious, right? And trying to figure out not what is this behavior or not how do I fix this behavior, but what is underlying telling me about my
yes.
child's state right now.
Yeah, and sometimes it's too much for parents, right? Like sometimes it's crying, it's nagging, it's like nonstop. So you like sometimes you, as a parent, wonder too, are you like really acting out? Like, are you like trying to make me upset? Are you like, can you not figure this out? Like, why are you doing it again and again? Didn't we have this conversation yesterday? Right?
Yeah.
Doing it again. So what do you say to that? Like, what can parents think about that? Because it is hard in the moment, right, for a parent.
It is very hard in that moment. Absolutely. And one of the things that I would say to the parent is when you have that child in full meltdown or screaming or nagging mode, those behaviors that are just, after you've had a long day, are just really grating on you, take a moment for yourself and try to reset, do breathing like we just did. Take a moment, take a pause, back up, check on yourself before you interact with your child. Because if your child is in a state that's triggered or dysregulated, anything you're doing to try to correct or discipline them isn't landing anyway.
Yeah,
And
and
so,
that,
yeah, it's not the time. Yeah, you have to bring them into regulation as well.
yeah, and it's almost good to. I mean, they are doing all of that to get your attention and your reaction anyway. So if you start reacting, they're getting what they want. So you're actually, in a way, we're feeding it,
Yeah.
right? As a parent, I'm feeding it if I react. But if I learn to walk away or if I learn to ignore it as much as possible, because we know that anybody in those state, a child in that state, has no comprehension whatever I'm going to talk to them about, they're not going to get it. So there's no
Right.
point in saying, okay, let's have a conversation, let's figure this out. It's not going to work.
Not
Right?
going to work. Not
Yeah.
going to work.
So just the reaction part, if we could control ourselves and get into a state ourselves, right?
Yes.
Peace here so that we don't need to react to what they're doing. And the more we don't react, they're going to start not acting out in the way they're acting too, right? In a way, because there's more to this, but just
Yeah.
the fact of the action and reaction, right? It's opposite,
Right.
right? Both of them are.
Yeah,
So,
and I mean, and if that's historically, if you have a family or a parent who is reactive and who is a yeller or is somebody who like comes back at a child, then that's going to be their comfort space. Like that's what the student is expecting. That's what the student or the child is expecting. So trying to change that dynamic will be uncomfortable for the child at first, but eventually you'll have a whole different dynamic between the two of you.
yes. So can you walk us through a real example where behavior looked like an issue, but it was usually something deeper? than that. Where are you?
Yeah, absolutely. So in my parenting program, I have a, I guess, a kind of a blended family. I have a little guy. He's 5. He's almost 6. And he is spending time between 2 homes. And what the mom, he lives most of the time with mom and mom's boyfriend. And what they finally recognized in a pattern was that after he came back from his father's house, or after he spoke with his father, he was having more incidents of not listening, of making bad choices, kind of acting out, kicking the dog or hitting the dog, like all of these behaviors. And they just, they needed it to stop. They were very concerned about the safety of the dog in those moments. And it would last for a few days. And so what we did, or what I did, was I had a separate private, because that's a group program that I run, but I had a separate private coaching session with them. And we talked about the fact that at 5, he doesn't have the language or the knowledge of his nervous system or his emotional regulation to be able to communicate. It's really hard going back between 2 parents. There's different rules. There's different feelings. I miss you when I miss mom when I'm at dad's. I miss dad when I'm at mom's. And like, there's all of these things, and if you think of it like a backpack, like he's carrying this backpack back and forth between the 2 homes, this invisible backpack that has so many things, so many emotions and confusions, and he can't tell you that. And so the way he communicates that he's feeling big feelings is he misbehaves.
Yes.
And that's the signal, as you talked about before. And so, he was more quick to have a meltdown. He, as I mentioned, was hurting the dog. And he knows better, as the mom's boyfriend said, he knows the rules. Yes, but he can't access them because he's having all of these big feelings and his nervous system is in this transition state, and it's going to take some time. And so what we ended up implementing was like a welcome home routine. And so when he got back from dad's, mom and he spent some quiet time together with like a building blocks or with some kind of a sit down, and they talked a little bit about what he did, and they put some new things into a routine. And what they found over the course of time was his episodes, he was still having episodes. They didn't go away, but there was a quicker recovery time. It didn't take so long. And so, what they saw as these misbehaviors, he's not listening, he doesn't care about consequences, was really this overwhelmed system of things he didn't even understand because he's 5.
Yes. And so sometimes there's also grief associated with that, right?
Yeah.
When parents separate, children grieve and they don't know how to take the feeling out of them. So they just kind of show through all of these, right? I had another family same way. 2 things happened and the child went really downhill from there. Was the separation between the parents, as well as his uncle died. And then anytime you talk about any of those things, he just cries. Like to this day. And they've been separated for almost like 3 or 4 years now, the parents. So it's not like a new thing. He's still holding on to it. So there is behavior that he's displaying related to that, and aggression and upset, quick to get angry, right? Yep. So that is also associated with the grief. Like we don't talk about it because no parent likes their parents to be split up, right? No child likes their parents to be split up. So that's a big change for them. So it makes sense for him to feel those big emotions at this time. And then he doesn't know where to take it out. He doesn't know where to take it out. So the dog seems a good target.
Right. Yes.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
So I was actually, yesterday I was at a store and there was 2 girls and a mom, and I was looking at some jewelry. So the mom said they could both get 1 item, but apparently the older girl lost something, or she had a choice to get 2 and the little girl had a choice to get 1. So then the little girl could not take that, of course, right? She's probably 6, maybe 5, 6 year old.
Mhm.
So she was crying and crying for like almost 45 minutes.
Oh,
So
wow.
the mom just stood there saying, she was calm, very calm. She just said, no, we didn't get involved. The store owner or I was just kind of,
Yep.
just giving them space because she has to come to a conclusion with her daughter, right? So
Sure.
but one thing that I would say, that mom was still trying to talk to her,
Mm,
tried to reason with her through this cry, like so
right.
much reasoning. She's like, remember, you got already that, you can't get this. And then, of course, I did not get involved because it's none of my business at that
I
point.
understand. But there were
But I
so many things you wanted to say, I'm
know,
sure.
I just wanted to say, don't talk to her. Don't talk to her.
Yes.
Because she's getting, the more she talked, she got agitated even more, and
Yes.
she cried more. And of course, I
Yep.
think at the time they were at a dinner place, so they had the dinner coming too, and probably she was hungry, she was overtired because of the end of the day. There was so many going on, but the mom still, I think I'm probably guilty of that too, because we want to make our kid feel better as soon as
Yeah.
possible, right?
Absolutely. Yes. And so you talk through it when what you really need to do is just sit with them and just be present through their emotional roller
Yeah.
coaster until they recover. But I was just as guilty of in fact, I have a 26-year-old daughter, and sometimes I'm guilty when she's having a moment of and now she's able at 26 to be like, just stop.
Yeah. So she could have actually left the table. Like there was a table that they came to. She could have actually, the mom could have walked away and it would have ended very quickly than the
Yeah.
45 minutes that it took.
Yeah.
And it still didn't end. I left. I don't know how it ended at the end of it.
Mhm.
Did she really buy the two things she wanted or one thing she wanted? But
Right.
she did not give up. Like it was mom talking and she was going on and on and on and on. So that's one thing we can give space, like you said, give space and just hold, you regulate yourself, right, as a parent, and then just try to walk away and give them the space until they finish crying or acting out or whatever it is. Very good, good strategy, right?
Yeah.
So what do parents think is happening in those moments that actually isn't true? So can we talk about that in your case, right? We talked a little bit about it, this boy going between two
Mhm.
houses. What do you think parents are thinking it's happening in these moments, but it's not actually true?
Well, I think one thing they're thinking is is he getting away with these behaviors over at the other house because he comes back and he's not allowed to do them? And I know that was one of the things that came up. And I'm like, we have to have a moment here. It's really not about if it's rules in one place versus the other. It really is more about his own little system. But again, like it made mom's boyfriend was, and I guess he's like stepdad, right? Stepdad was so very angry because he kicked the dog, and so stepdad really needed to take a moment
Mm,
and step back from that anger. And but he was like, he knows better. And it's like, but in that moment he doesn't know better. Like he just doesn't. Like he's outside, some things are happening outside of his control. And so that's a really hard thing. When you see when you see your child sometimes show the skill of self-regulation or of following the rules, then you're thinking, well, they can do it. So you make the assumption that they can always do it. But
yes.
when we are triggered or when we're dysregulated, that prefrontal cortex, that part of your brain that allows access to the skills to do the right thing, is offline.
Yes.
He can't. A 5-year-old can't control when his emotions are in charge.
Yes. And sometimes we have to think about it as adults too. Like even though our brain all developed and working too, but sometimes when we get mad we say things and then we
Absolutely.
say, how did that come out of my mouth?
Right. Absolutely. I mean, we do it. We do it. We do it at work. We do it in our relationships. We don't have, not we, in general, humans have a point where they become dysregulated,
Yes.
whether you're adults or not. And when you are dysregulated, think about those times when you say the thing to the husband that, oops, you really shouldn't have said that out loud, right?
Yes.
And so we have to recognize that our little humans, that our children don't even have the skill level we have. And if we can lose control, then clearly they're going to have moments of lost control.
Yes. And also, I had a family that I joined after, like I had separation, and I blended a family afterwards. Also, when stepdad or stepmom is talking about a child, that also adds another layer, right?
Yeah.
Because they're not their parent.
Right.
So then to discipline somebody else's kid, when you're brand new in a relationship, it also
Right.
can dysregulate the child even more as well, coming from another person, because he
It
doesn't
can.
know who the stepdad is, right? The mom knows, but the
Right.
child doesn't really know who he is
Right.
yet. He's
Yeah.
still trying to think, where's my dad? Why are you here? Kind of
Yeah.
5-year-olds hasn't
Yeah,
processed.
even if he's not consciously thinking that, there's some level of that going on. Yes.
So we have to be careful as stepdad or stepmom coming in, how we approach it. It's better that the parent deals with it as
Mhm.
at all moments too, right? It's better so
Yes.
that we can just stay as in the background to guide the other parent, but not get involved. Because when we say it, like I've never did with any of my stepkids, I've never said
Right.
anything because it
Yep.
wasn't place. They had their mom and they had their dad. They
Yeah.
don't need person, me coming in as another mom saying you
Right.
must do this, you need to do that. They got it, they're doing it, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah,
it's
and actually in this case it was like he got very angry. The dad or the stepdad got very angry that the child did it, but it was actually the mom who did the disciplining, but she recognized that even she was angry and needed a moment
yes,
before she could, she was like, I need you to go to your room. I will be right in. And so she took a moment to re-regulate herself so that she could be useful to helping the child get himself regulated and co-regulate with him.
yeah, perfect. So what are some of the big emotions parents are seeing these days that they're saying it's big emotions, but they're signals? And where do we think might stem from? What is the cause of it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it has to do with their state, right? Their nervous system state. There's so much constant input into all of us these days, and I think our kids, just don't have the capacity. They get over capacity, and then they just can't handle anymore. And then that's when we start to see the dysregulation and some of the breakdown in the behaviors and the rule following. And it's interesting because I have another family that I work with, and mom has a 14-year-old, and he will never have outward behaviors. He withdraws and shuts down. But that's just as dangerous for a child that's dysregulated, that's shutting down and withdrawing. They still need support, right?
Yes.
Even though it's not the big meltdown or the big yelling and crying and screaming.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So instead of fixing the behavior, we start with readiness. So let's talk about readiness. What does that even mean? Some parents might say, "What do you mean ready? Like, what does that even mean?" Can we talk about that?
Right. Right. And so like from a neuroscience perspective, your emotions come from a different area of the brain, and your ability to have logic and learn and follow through comes from your prefrontal cortex. And so what we're talking about with readiness is their prefrontal cortex, they're part of their brain that organizes them and allows them to make good choices, is offline. It's not ready. And so they're being kind of managed in their brain by the amygdala, which is the fight or flight. And so their body's feeling like they need to fight, or they need to flee, or they need to freeze, whatever it is that might be. And so what a parent's goal would be is to get curious first when there's behavior, to try to determine what state is my child in. Are they overwhelmed? Are they lacking a skill? Are they, what is it that's going on underneath the signal, which is the bad behavior?
Yes.
To be able to see, are they in a place where I can discipline them? Are they going to learn? Are they even processing my language, like your girl that was crying and mom was just talking at her, not to her?
Mhm.
Um, and so that's really what we talk about with readiness is what state are they in? And are they even in a place that they can process what you're saying?
Yes. Yes. So what are we doing then if we want to fix the behavior, right? But as a parent, I just want to solve the situation.
Right.
So
Right.
I don't know how to get them ready. So a parent might say, I don't know how to get them into readiness. I just know that I just need to stop this behavior because driving me nuts. It's not good for my family. It's always this is where we're at. We know it's a meltdown every night. I just can't handle it. It's too much for me. So I just want to fix it. But we say no. Look at it as readiness. So how do we help a parent feeling like that?
Yeah. So, I mean, first and foremost, if we are dysregulated, if we are not regulated, we are not going to help a behavior that's in process. So
Yes.
we have to find a way to get ourselves regulated. Again, that's breathing. There's a lot of different things that you can do. Run your wrists under cold water. It kind of resets the vagus nerve. So we have to find a way to regulate ourselves. And then what we need to do in those moments of misbehavior is to co-regulate, is to let the child borrow our regulated state to calm them down. And once they're calm and they're starting to re-regulate, that's when we talk about the rules and the choices that they're making. And it's not that you don't have boundaries. It's not that you don't discipline your child. It's all about doing it at the right time when they're regulated, when they're ready.
Yes. And if you're listening and if you're a parent, if you think about it, last time you did it, whatever happened at your house and you did what you did, you have to ask yourself, is it working, right? When something doesn't work, we have to stop and ask, it's not working. I'm ending up in the same situation again and again and again. It's happening repeatedly. And I get to this dead end. I don't know what else to do. There's nothing else I can do with at this situation. It's just we're at the same place, and all I could say is that my child has big emotions, and we're doing this repeatedly, and it becomes a little bit of the love goes away, the connection kind of takes a toll on it too, right? Because the child
Mhm.
thinks you don't like them, or you're angry at them all the time, or you're just going to yell at them all the time, or whatever is happening. So we're also like the gap's just growing wider and wider the more we try to think of it as a behavior,
Right.
right? So we need to like really think of it as a signal and stop. Like the first step is to stop, and as you said, to get curious about it, and
Curious. Yeah.
just regulate yourself and stop and think instead of react towards it. Because if it's working, you can continue to do it, right? But it is not working, it's repeating. So we
Right.
cannot have it repeatedly doing the same thing and thinking what I'm doing is working. And I also like that's how our parents modeled parenting anyway, right? Most of us got parented like that. If we cry, they say stop.
Right.
When we cry, they're
I'll give
like,
you something to cry about.
or if we wanted something and we were melting down, they're like, yeah, you're not getting it. You can melt down if you want, right? And they yelled at us or something, just get to work, right? Whatever it
Right.
was. So it was
Yeah.
a different type of parenting. So we tried to talk to our kids like our parents would talk over us, right? They never regulated themselves. They just got angry. Like if any of these behaviors was happening in my family, it was totally, they would have just said shut it down and go to your room, do the things you need to do.
Right.
That was the
Yeah.
old thing.
Yeah, and I think of another family that I worked with, and she has an 11-year-old, and he has all of the labels, all of the diagnoses, ADHD, oppositional defiant disorder, and everything. And they were in this really bad place where he just day after day was targeting his brother and mistreating his brother and getting verbally abusive and sometimes physically abusive. And so what she was doing wasn't working, right? Like every day she's trying to, and so what we did was we built a rhythm into their day so that when she got home from work and he was home from school, they had like maybe 5 minutes, just 5 minutes of a check-in time and just giving that connection and that co-regulation. And she found that the episodes of him targeting his brother lessened.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a simple, and I get it when you've got to make dinner and you've got all of these things and you just got home from a bad day at work and everything else. But taking that 5 minutes to just connect with that child who had had his own rough day because he has a lot of things going on, was just enough to take the tone down on how he was interacting with his brother.
And he probably also felt like overwhelmed at the end of the day coming from school.
Absolutely.
So that he had to take it out on somebody, right? So the parent giving them that co-regulation settled him again one more time.
Absolutely.
So he doesn't have to target his brother. Yeah. So yeah, I think we have to stop saying we're busy. I know we're busy. That's never gonna go away. So I find that the more we say busy, it's becoming busier. So maybe it's time for us to just stop say busy and say, okay, out of my busy schedule, where can I fit that 5 minute or 10 minute or whatever the minutes are?
Yes.
We're not going to get any less busy as parents. It's just going to, that's the way it is.
Well, right. But if a 5-minute connection with your child
changes
causes them to have more regulation and less behavioral issues later, then it's time well spent because you're not spending the time later.
Yeah. You're not arguing or you're not disciplining afterwards, right? Some people might say, this is some behaviors, some people might look at it and say that's a lack of discipline. Even last night incident where I was saying the girl was, crying and crying, if I was somebody else could have said, the mom should parent better. I mean, she shouldn't be crying. She should know better, right? Like these are things people judge, right, about parents.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
And parents take that she was like, mom kept apologizing. I said, no, you do whatever you need to do with your child, right? We're okay.
Right.
Don't worry about us. So that's a pressure for parents.
It is. It absolutely is.
I have to discipline the behavior, otherwise, it's just going to get out of control. So is discipline the right way to deal with behavior?
Not in the moment, right? Because you're just going to probably escalate the dysregulation and make it even worse. Co-regulation, get them calmer, get them settled, and then deal with the broken boundary.
Yes. So boundaries are important, right? Because that supports them, that grounds them, and that supports them, and they know what you're expecting from them because boundaries tell them that. So boundaries are good, but it does have to be done in the right time, the setting the boundary. And I love to co-create. What do you think about co-creating the boundaries with your child? Not negotiating it, but co-creating it.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially as the kids get a little bit older, right? Because the rules that work when your children are under 10 are not the same boundaries and rules that are going to keep playing and, going into play when they're 12 and 13 and 14 and everything else. And so that is, if you can have that connection with the family, and with your kids, and you can co-create those boundaries and those expectations, they're more likely to follow them because they had a hand in saying them.
Yeah. Can we model co-creation? Because I want to differentiate between negotiation and co-creation. They're not the same thing. So negotiation would be like the child. Maybe negotiation is also done in the wrong time. I think it's done too early. They're not calm yet. We're not in a regulated state yet. We're just negotiating beforehand when we're dysregulated, both of us. We just like, okay, you can have 5 minutes. And they say, no, I want 10 minutes. And you're like, no, you can have 6 minutes. And they're like, no, I want 10 minutes. Now we're in a...
Right.
We're in an auction. We're auctioning minutes right now. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, and then what usually happens is the parent gets overwhelmed themselves, and they end up on with their all 10 minutes, even if you said no to 10 minutes.
Yeah, yeah,
And then kids learn that. They learn that they can push those buttons and violate the boundary.
yeah. So let's model co-creation. So when will a parent actually start a co-creation? At the state of regulated state.
Regulation, yeah. When they're calm and they're regulated, they're what we would say green on the traffic light, because that way the prefrontal cortex is open to learning, and it'll give the child the opportunity to use some of those brain skills that they've got going on.
Yeah. So this is not during conflict, not during a meltdown. You cannot say, okay, let's co-create, because there's no co-creation during those times. It's destruction time, right? Those times of destruction, they're not creation time. So okay. So when we're regulated, so how would what could we model? So let's say for the boy that you worked with, what would be a co-creation, setting boundaries and expectations parent we can model? So what would it be? The dog incident where he was hitting the dog or kicking the dog. So what would be the rule? Like, how could we establish something, co-create with him? So I'll be the child. So we're gonna role model.
Okay. So all right. So Jesse, you kick the dog. What's the rule? Don't hit the dog, right? What's the rule, Jesse?
Don't hit the dog. I can't hit the dog. You don't want me to hit the dog. Yes.
No, I don't want you to hit the dog. I don't want you to kick the dog. So when you're feeling frustrated, what should you do? Should you go near the dog?
Yeah, because I'm mad.
No, but when you're mad, should you go near the dog or should you go somewhere else?
No, I should not, because then I hit the dog because I'm mad.
Right. So when we're having big feelings or when we're feeling emotions, we could go somewhere else. Is there somewhere you could go where the dog wouldn't be in danger?
Yeah, I could go to my room.
You could go to your room. So
come to my mom.
Come to me and tell me you're feeling really mad. Absolutely. Those are things that we can do, because the rule is we can't hit the dog. We can't kick the dog. So we have to find a way when you're having big feelings to keep the dog safe.
Yes. And dog doesn't speak, right? The dog doesn't have a feeling. So you're hurting, it hurts. It's like somebody hit you. Would you like it? Right. And then you can also go into all sorts of compassion statements with that too. Yeah, sure. It's perfect. So again, you didn't do it when I was actually in my state of anger. You're doing it. I'm able to answer you. If I wasn't angry, I would be like, no, I don't want to talk to you. I'm not listening to you. Right. Or I might kick something else and walk away or something, right? So this is when it's all calm.
Absolutely.
That child can comprehend the statements we're saying, and they can talk back. And then if they don't understand, we can tell them again, and we can talk about compassion. We can talk about why this rule exists even, and then they can understand it all.
Yeah. One of the things that I suggest that my families do when they're in my program is to develop a once a week family meeting. Mm-hmm. And what they do in that meeting is everybody goes around and says something that went well. And then they, as a team, they talk about something that didn't go well, and then talk about how they can do it so maybe they get a different result. They don't focus on everything that went wrong, because that would be overwhelming for the child and for everybody else. But they find one thing. So in this case, it would have been mom and stepdad and Jesse, and they would have said, what went bad was that you kicked the dog. And then even, in that 15-minute family meeting, they could talk about and see if he can come up with some other ideas. And that would be that co-creating.
Yes. So ideas, when you get this state, what can you do? Right? Mm-hmm. When he's regulated, when he or she is regulated, you asking them, what other options do you have? Because a lot of the time we do it as if we have no other option, right? We choose one thing because I don't know the options as a child. So if we could give them options, and then they go, okay, I can come to you, I can go to my room, I can punch a punching bag. You can buy him a punching bag. If he needs to take out some frustration, he can go for it, right? Or whatever concept.
Yeah, we were teaching Jesse wall pushes, where he goes and he pushes against the wall. Yeah.
That's another one. Yeah. So
they definitely didn't want to teach him to hit something when they're trying to stop him from hitting the dog.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Like sometimes the punching bag's good because as you even get older, like if you ever get like I box, I go to
Yep.
boxing, right? It really releases sometimes if you're so if you have any angers that has been stored over time, it really releases, and it's a good sports.
Sure.
I mean,
Yep.
you have to treat it as a sport, not you're hitting somebody. You don't put
Right.
face to it.
Exactly. Yeah. Not an anger thing.
No, don't put anybody's face to it and say hit it.
Right.
But it is a sport. It is a sport that can release those stored traumas if you ever
Right.
do take on that, right? So that's co-creation. Co-creation is not negotiation. I always talk about that. I wanted to make sure that we know this because as parents, I think we know how to negotiate. I'm guilty of that as well. I've done it in the past, and I know that it's not a good place to be in because when it start negotiating, you then lose the what do you call it? Not control, but
Authority.
yeah,
Authority.
yeah. Even in more than authority, it's almost like you lose the connection between the child, right?
Mm,
Now we're just bargaining, as if, as I
right.
said, it feels like an auction,
Yeah.
right? So it's no longer the connections missing. So if parents are feeling exhausted, frustrated, or even maybe helpless, what do you want them to really understand when they're feeling like that?
I guess I want them to understand that feeling that way and reacting to children that way isn't going to get you what you want, right? Like if you're feeling that way, you really have to take that moment and get yourself regulated and get yourself in a calm state so that you can help your child.
That's the one thing that I wish our education system or personal development all can focus on is the fact that you have to be home yourself first. You have to be a whole person yourself first, and
Mm-hmm.
that takes everyday practice, and that takes
It does.
everything in you before we can lead others. Like if I'm not regulated, then I'm not even leading myself right now. How can I then think I can lead another person when I'm not regulated?
Right. And
Because if
as
I'm
parents, it is our job to lead our children.
yeah, and
Yeah.
if I'm frustrated, my energy that's going to come out of me is frustration.
Yep.
If I'm exhausted, the energy that I'm going to output is exhaustion. Like I'm going to say things out of exhaustion to my child. Can you not see I'm trying so hard and I'm doing everything I can and you're still behaving like this? I don't like it.
Right.
Like all of that was just exhaustion, right? I'm just talking in exhaustion. And
Absolutely.
then they're like, I know you're exhausted, but I don't know what else to do, is what the child's thinking, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
exhaustion doesn't equal they're going to understand it better,
Right.
those words, right? So it's important that like even teachers, right? We talk about teachers too. Teachers think like I need better skills, I have to go and learn better skills, I have to have more classroom management skills or more support in curriculum or something, bring or the administrators think let's bring a better curriculum, but it doesn't work until the teacher is completely home themselves.
Correct.
If
I,
they're
as a school administrator, I saw that all the time. Of course, the child is dysregulated. You're dysregulated. Like,
yes, yes, but we think that because we're such a caretaker, we forget about ourselves,
we're so
and
busy
we
taking
think
care of others. Yes.
others. But then we just create this loop that just burns out everybody at the every end. It's like the child's
Yeah.
burning out and I'm burning out because we're not both out of sync.
Yep.
Can't get to
Yeah.
a result.
And I will have to say that the homework that the parents in my program do the least is the self care. That's the thing that they let go of first, is taking care of themselves. And
Well,
that's
let's
one of
talk
the
about
most
why is it
important
hard?
things.
Why is it the most important thing? But why is it hard for parents?
Right. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not sure why, but I was the same way. Like I didn't really think when I was working full time and I had, a child with with health issues at home and everything else. Like I wasn't really thinking I need to take care of myself. I was like, there's no time. But you have to make the time. You have to make the time to get yourself in a space where you can lead and where you can, and things will go better. Believe it or not, things will go better if you
Yeah.
take care of yourself.
And that's the thing with a lot of the things we do. We think that we're modeling our kids the proper ways to stay busy and not taking care of ourselves. But the minute you take care of yourself, it becomes easy. Parenting becomes easier. But
Yes.
also, we're modeling to the child that just because you're busy doesn't mean you don't take care of yourself.
Right.
There's always 5 minutes, there's always 10 minutes to breathing. The one breathing we just did to
Yep.
regulate ourselves when we are coming back from work, to calm ourselves down, that just takes maybe 2-3 minutes.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's not even that, it's just putting it in place and stick, like following through as a parent, right?
Right. It doesn't have to be a spa day every week. It can be something as simple as practicing. And when you're calm and when things are okay, you have to practice so that when you become dysregulated as an adult, you have those tools to get right to you, and you don't have to think about it. It becomes more automatic.
Yeah. Where else can a busy parent fit regulation for themselves?
I used to do it in my drive to and from work.
I know. Me too. I love, yeah, driving calms me down so much.
Or even like when you pull into your garage or you pull into your driveway, take a couple of minutes, do some breaths before you go in. I know one of the things that you had suggested to me when I was having such a rough time at work and coming home and not taking care of my daughter the way I needed to, was to have this ritual where I went in and I washed my hands, and I washed at the end of the day. The last thing I did before I left was wash those hands, wash the day away, and then go home. And
Yes.
so
Yes.
simple ritual of washing your hands could be something that kind of ends the rough day at work before you begin your home time.
Yes. Yes. And what would you say to a parent who is dealing with labels,
Uh-huh.
ADHD, severe different types of labels now, and those behaviors, they tend to, people think, oh, that's because it's the label that's bringing the behavior, right? But what is your take on that? How should
Yeah,
parents?
my take is it doesn't matter what you call it. It's still a nervous system dysregulated. And there are strategies that you can use. And while medication, can help some kids with ADHD, so can these exercises, so can these regulation practices that that you can teach your child when they're calm to bring them back to calm.
Yes.
Because I'll show you a hyperactive child, or you show me a hyperactive child, and I'll show you what breathing or coloring or some other activity for just 2 or 3 minutes can bring that down.
Yes. And how about respect? Well, let's go back to that respect part, because a lot of these behaviors, everybody says they're not respecting, they don't have any consequences, especially at school. Teachers always think that as well, right? Like they're getting
Right.
away with it. We're letting them get away with it. How are we going to ever teach them lessons, right? So what
Yep.
is your take on all of those kind of sayings that we have? Because it does look like they're taking advantage at some of these behaviors do present themselves.
Absolutely. And sometimes maybe they are, right? I mean, sometimes there are kids that are going to use their label or their diagnosis or whatever as an excuse to get out of doing work.
Yes.
But, I think, I would tell educators and parents, be curious. Be curious about what's going on underneath whatever that behavior is. Because, I have another student that I've just started working with, and he has a couple of teachers that he never, ever, ever gets in trouble for any of these behaviors. And then he has a couple of teachers that he's getting thrown out of class every other day. And so he's the same child all day long. But it really is, it's how you interpret what you're seeing in terms of that behavior.
And the classroom matters too. Maybe the classmates in one of those
Sometimes,
classes,
yeah.
right?
Yep.
There's so many factors to it. That's why curiosity is so important
Is very
at
important.
all levels. It doesn't matter which
Yeah,
level.
I mean, yeah, one of my students that is labeled disrespectful in a class is a kid who has a very strong sense of things being just, and what the teacher sees as disrespect, was him just challenging the fact that he wasn't the only one doing the thing wrong, but he was the only one called out. And
Yes.
so that strong sense of justness and fairness, you know, coupled
Look,
with his impulsivity, was he said something that the teacher then, but he was not wrong. He was not wrong. There were other kids that were doing this thing, but yeah. So we just, we have to be mindful, and get to know our kids, and build relationships with our students and build relationships with our kids so that we have that connection.
yeah. And curiosity beats everything else all the
Absolutely.
time. Just notice what's happening, what happened before, after, right? So that we can track it. Sometimes we have to track these patterns, right? There is patterns to these behaviors as well. So the more we can track them, the more we understand, and then more you can regulate yourself and then help the child regulate themselves, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what looks like defiance or not caring or disrespect is often, a child who is just overwhelmed and doesn't know how to express that they're feeling some kind of way inside.
Yes. Yes. And it's really important to help them manage these big emotions, is what we're calling them. But these are signals, right? Like nowadays, that's what a lot of parents are using that word. So the big
Yeah.
emotions are big signals that are coming. That means not just one system is offline here. There's
Yeah.
multiple systems that are offline, and it's triggering each others are triggering each other, and it becomes explosive. So we have to look at it as this is a living system. This is a living body. We can't just expect it to be always in the readiness state. It's not going to. We need to teach them how to get into the state of readiness as well. And that means that they have to understand themselves. The child has to understand that fact. Even you're a living system. Sometimes you can be triggered by external things, the variables that play, right? So yeah, so conversation, co-creation, understanding, compassion,
Curiosity.
curiosity. Anything else? Did we miss anything else?
I don't think so. I mean, just recognizing the state.
Yeah, and patience, I think. Patience, not just with your child, but with yourself, because
Yes.
we want to fix it too fast. Everybody wants to get to the solution
Quick
so
fix.
fast.
I need a quick fix. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody wants that. And we don't want our children to suffer, but at the same time, we have to first get that curiosity to notice what's going on before jumping in to fix it too fast, because then we're just creating another problem. We might create another behavior that wasn't there. I don't know. Sometimes, you try to fix one and there's a new behavior that shows up, right? Because we
Sure.
haven't understand the whole picture yet. So just that curiosity will save so much time, and regulating yourself, no matter what happens, no matter how busy you are, if you regulate yourself, you'll always be able to handle anything that your child puts in front of you, right? Anything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you're not going to be able to access your skills to strongly parent when you're dysregulated in that moment.
Yeah. And it's normal to be dysregulated too, because look at the world,
Absolutely.
right? We're in a world of constant change and constant chaos, so it's okay for you to feel that way as well. So be compassionate towards yourself as well as a parent. Don't beat yourself up that you should know all of these things, and my child shouldn't behave like this, they should not be like this because my friend kids are not like that. How come they can be okay, my kid's the only one behaving? Like a lot of the time we go into
We
loops,
start to
right?
do that comparison loop. Yeah, absolutely. And
That's
yeah,
also not going to regulate yourself. You're just going to get more dysregulated if you start doing that comparison loop.
the
So
comparison or feeling like people are judging you, like all of those things are not going to help.
no, no. So today wasn't about giving them another way to manage behavior. It was about helping them see, right? Helping them, either the parent or even a teacher, to see a child differently, no matter what age they are. Even a teenager, you can start seeing them differently, because behavior is not random, it's communication. That's very important. I think a lot of people say that, and we're going to say it again here too. It is a signal, it is a communication. So it's like, those boat signals when they get lost in the sea, the
Yeah.
SOS signals. Like, you have to treat these behaviors SOS.
SOS signals. Sure.
It's how
Yep.
you need to observe, like what's going on. Why is the signal showing up repeatedly? What could be the cause of it? What is the root cause of it? Instead of thinking they should know better, why can't they behave? I told them yesterday and they're doing it again. I mean, how many times do I have to tell them? Those, like all those things that we think is logical, don't think it's logical for your child when they are in SOS state of signaling you. They don't have logic. Logic is not
There is no
working.
logic, correct. The prefrontal cortex is offline.
Yeah. So don't even keep saying that, because that just annoys the parent too, right? If I keep saying that they should have more logic, they should think more. They should have,
Right.
it just makes me mad as a parent. Why aren't you thinking, right? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So the conversation today, Coach Kim wanted to bring was that it's all about readiness. Is your child ready to be heard?
Right.
Right?
And if they're showing behaviors, something in their system is not ready.
It's not ready.
Something's off. It's a lack of skill. It's an unmet need. There's something going on.
Yeah. And if you have tried so many things and it's still not working for you, and you feel like you're alone as a family or a parent, reach out to Coach Kim. She does offer group coaching as well as
I do.
individual coaching.
I do.
Please reach out to her. She's on all social media, and
Yep.
she's on LinkedIn as well. So reach out to her, because you're never alone. You're never alone in this, because we all had kids too, and we all been through behaviors before, right?
Absolutely.
Uh, so, and behaviors are not going to stop, because whenever a child's not ready, they are going to show you
There's going to be
signal. They are
behavior
going to,
because it is communication.
yes. And as they grow up, if they're, they're 5, then they're teenager, there's going to be new behaviors, new signals that are going to come. So you always have to be ready for it. So yeah, and the busyness doesn't mean that you get to buy that as an identity. I think I want to say that as a final word, is that we're never going to be not busy.
That's correct.
Never. So since it's not possible, then we should just stop using the word I'm busy.
Right. And just find those little slots of time where you can practice self-care and also make connections with your child and put in some rhythms so that they can navigate how they're feeling as the day goes on.
Yep. Absolutely. Anything else you want to say? Anything else?
No.
Awesome. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sending in the comments. Please comment. And if you have a particular situation that's happening that you don't understand or doesn't make sense as a parent, or start judging yourself as a parent, just send us a message.
Right.
Because
Reach out.
I would love, and Coach Kim would love to talk about it on our next time. There will be a next time.
Absolutely.
You'll be coming.
Yep.
We can talk about this, because it's not, you're not by yourself. That's important. So don't sit at home and don't Google at 3 a.m. in the morning, early morning. I have this problem. What am I going to do? Because a lot of the time as parents, we do wake up at 3 a.m. with the headache, right? I don't know what to do with my kid. He's behaving, or she's behaving badly. So you're not alone. That's our message to you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Coach Kim. We'll see
All
you
right,
next
thanks.
time. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.